Some of these South American anthems do seem to take an eternity. I'm going to bring Billy McNeil in straight away. And Billy, the major talking point here, the dropping of the Scottish captain, Graham Souness.
Well, I think the reason for that, John, obviously we're in a dramatic situation here. We need to win one match. Alec Ferguson obviously feels he wasn't getting enough from midfield, and he's taken quite a dramatic step in leaving out the captain. But don't forget, John, that we did exactly the same thing in Spain when we dropped Danny McGrain. It's nothing new for us.
Well, Scotland have in fact made 4 changes from the side beaten by West Germany. Basically, it's the same side defensively, except Arthur Albiston has come in place of Maurice Malpas. But in midfield, both Graham Souness and Eamon Bannon are left out. Paul McStay is preferred to Souness, and Paul Sturrock returns to the side, along with Everton's Graham Sharp, who starts a World Cup match here for the first time. And there's no place even on the substitutes bench for the Scottish captain, Graham Souness. And incidentally, Uruguay have also made 4 changes, and it looks as though they're adopting a very attacking policy as well. The Uruguayan changes, of course, they've been forced to leave out their big captain, Bossio, who was sent off in the game against Denmark. Also out of the side are midfielder Saralegui and strikers Alzamendi and Jorge da Silva. Something of a surprise, that one. So Venancio Ramos there and Jorge Barrios both come into the side. So does Wilmar Cabrera. And this is a most attacking side that has been chosen by the Uruguayan manager, Omar Borras. The scene really is set for a fiery cracker here, isn't it, Billy?
Well, the thing about Uruguay, John, you know, so far I've seen them, they've tried to play football and tried to go forward. They're a bit indisciplined at the back, and obviously we saw Bosso being sent off. But I think they're an attacking side. It surprises me just a little bit that they left out Da Silva. I was very impressed with him in the previous matches.
So what a moment here for Graham Sharp of Everton, who's had such a marvellous season, of course, for his club. David Neri, the other man in your picture there, hoping to celebrate his 30th birthday, which was yesterday, in style here, and he's winning his 30th cap as well. And interesting that on the substitutes bench, Scotland have lined up there Charlie Nicholas. So Nicholas has overcome that very bad ankle injury. The ligaments were torn in the first match played here against Denmark. So Nicholas is on the bench, but Graham Souness isn't. The referee today, by the way, is a Frenchman, and there you see the picture of the Uruguayan captain, Rodriguez, who's had an abdominal injury. He's the goalkeeper, he's unable to start the game. But Alzamendi, who scored against West Germany, and Da Silva are both substitutes today. Jim Leighton has been quite magnificent for Scotland in the 2 matches played so far. And interestingly, Billy, I think you once loaned him out from Aberdeen to a junior club, didn't you?
Well, that's right. I was at Aberdeen when Jim came, and we happened to have 3-4 goalkeepers at the time, and Jim went out to a Highland League club, and from then he's developed into first-class goalkeeper. I think this World Cup has established him at full international level, and by that I mean world stuff.
Jim Leighton today winning his 29th cap. The referee today is Joël Kini of France, who incidentally was involved in a tremendous dispute in the French Cup final this year. Let's hope there aren't too many disputes today. A friendly handshake before the start of the game with Enzo Francescoli, the Uruguayan star without doubt, the man who's going to move to Racing Club of Paris next season for a lot of pesos. It's a gloriously bright day here in Neza. The climate, one has to say, is changeable in this city on the outskirts of Mexico City itself. We've had thunderstorms, lightning, rain, just about everything thrown at us in Neza. But thankfully today it's nice, it's warm, but it's not a stifling heat, Billy, and I think that Scotland should be able to cope with the conditions.
Yeah, I just wonder, John, if the conditions really mean all that much, because I think the passion is there for the Scots to win today, and, you know, I would certainly back them.
Well, you've promised to sing Flower of Scotland at the end of the match if that happens. I hope you're singing.
I think I'll have plenty of company, John, if the game goes right.
Away we go. The vital match then in the group. Scotland know exactly what they have to do. They have to win to qualify for a game against Argentina at Puebla next Monday. Uruguay only need a draw. This is Richard Gough. The man attracting a great deal of interest down south. And the long ball there looking for Sturrock. Steve Nicol beaten to it just with Diogo getting a foot in. Here's Strachan, and bundled over the first free kick of the game. I thought for one moment the referee was going to reach for a yellow card in the first minute. In fact, I have a funny feeling he is. Strachan is prostrate, and he's sent off. What an astonishing start to the game. Within the first 60 seconds of the match, Uruguay are down to 10 men. Well, they had Bossio, their captain, sent off against Denmark, and the French referee here is obviously not going to stand any nonsense whatsoever. Quite extraordinary scenes here, whistles all around the ground. Little Batista is being comforted by some of his colleagues here. Stretcher is being called for Gordon Strachan. We always feared, Billy, that this was going to be a tempestuous occasion, but to see Batista sent off in the first 60 seconds has gone beyond any expectations anybody could have.
Well, we knew this referee was picked, John, for the way he handles matches, and certainly he's not chose to sidestep anything. He thought that the challenge was such a bad one, they had no option to send him off, and off he goes.
The smallest man on the pitch is Strachan, and Batista is about half an inch taller. They clashed. The French referee decided... I'm astonished, actually. I thought it might have been a yellow card, but to produce a red card in the first minute of a World Cup match is... well, it must be unprecedented.
Well, I'll be honest, John, I thought he made a mistake when he pulled the red card out, but there you are.
Strachan's up and OK, so it's Scotland's 11 against Uruguay's 10 for 89 minutes. And the free kick taken, it went beyond Goff, and he would have been, I think... no, he wouldn't have been offside. Now the referee's fallen over. I don't remember as much incident in the first 60 seconds, 2 minutes of a game than this one. Billy, I must ask you, how is this going to affect the Uruguayans? Because we saw that they went to pieces against Denmark when they lost their captain then.
Well, it must affect them, John. I mean, it's such a dramatic step for a referee to take his L in the game. It's obviously got to have an unsettling effect on the Uruguayans. And don't forget, as a Scotsman, John, I'm quite pleased to see it go that way.
Well, Alex Ferguson has opted for a really attacking formation here, bringing Graham Sharp in for the first time and restoring Paul Sturrock after his injury. And let's see now if Scotland can capitalise on this early fortune for them and great misfortune for Uruguay. Strachan is on the ball. He looks none the worse for wear after that challenge. He's looking down the middle here for Paul Sturrock. And a very sloppy back pass to Alves, the goalkeeper, making him stretch. More unnerving start for a side you cannot imagine. In fact, the Uruguayan manager, Omar Borras, said after the Denmark game that his country's players didn't have the capability to deal with situations when they were down to 10 men. They still wanted to play attacking football and couldn't cope. Let's see how they cope here. Still under 5 minutes gone in this game, would you believe? McStay, nice ball through for Steve Nicol. They're drilling that one out there and looking for Sharp. Scotland have a throw. South America are represented, other than on the pitch here today, by the linesman on that far side, who's from Colombia. And Uruguay have a free kick now. Exactly 5 minutes gone here in Neza. Scotland 0, Uruguay 0. Uruguay's Batista sent off in the first minute. Well, you can guarantee now that Uruguay will defend mightily. They just require 1 point. Scotland need 2. tactics of both sides formed from the start. This is Cabrera. Now Ramos. He's an exciting young player, and he's played a lovely ball out to that far side. There's Santin, who looks as though he'd been brought down, spun up again to his feet, but Neri makes a good interception. Can't find Sharp, though. The Uruguayans are a neat footballing side. Goff charges Santin over. And there's no yellow card for the Dundee United defender. Santin stays on the ground, looking for treatment. And already, I think, Billy, we've seen indications that this is going to be quite a tempestuous affair.
You often find, John, when the referee makes such a dramatic move as he's done in this match, he looks to even up the balance some way, and I think this is what the Uruguayans will be trying to achieve. They'll be acting and falling down and playing, looking to get some of the Scottish players into trouble.
Free kick to Uruguay then. Ramos played it back to Barrios. Now Santin. Barrios out on that far side again. They're stroking the ball around quite nicely. And Scotland finding it difficult to get possession from the 10 men. Here's Diogo, who'll drive in a rather woeful shot. Diogo, who has one yellow card as well, so the Uruguayans have got quite a collection of cards here. Scotland crossing the halfway line. No goals here in Neza. But just a reminder for anybody who might just have come in, amazingly, Uruguay already down to 10 men with their left-back Batista sent off. This is Francescoli. Oh, lovely skill from Francescoli. They certainly have to watch him. He's still going. And a very timely intervention once again by Willie Miller. It's his forte, all right. Francescoli once more. Very involved. And Leighton trying to scramble down for that one. It didn't look to have much power, but a warning there of Francescoli's pace, his power and his dribbling skills.
He's undoubtedly very talented, John. I think at the moment we're just a little bit unsettled. I think the ordering off has unsettled us as much as it has the Uruguayans at the moment. We've got to settle down, get our composure back and start getting the passes going.
Miller, the captain for Scotland today, in the absence of Souness. Nickel, that's a good ball down the line for Sturek. Gutierrez, a strong tackle. They're claiming the throw in Uruguay. But, I don't think the referee's going to let them have it. So Arthur Albiston. And Nickel trying to work an opening. The crossover to the far side. Goff got up. Oh, and a slight miskick inside the area there by Graham Sharp. Otherwise, Scotland would have been on the score sheet.
That was a definite half chance, John. It really was.
Cabrera. Possession here again. Now Barrios, who is a very good and skillful player. Playing his first game of these World Cup finals, he's had an ankle injury. Warner slipped there, and Strachan almost nicking it away. And here is Strachan now, and the Scotland have got plenty of men up in this attack. Here's Paul Sturrock. Oh, a scything tackle, which he did well to avoid. And Uruguay have conceded a corner kick. But there again, we saw a really lunging tackle, and if Sturrock had been another yard inside, or just inside the area, that would have been a penalty, I think.
I think what's very important, John, we've got to keep our composure. We've not got to get drawn into a physical game. We've got to get our passes going.
So Scotland have a sight of Uruguay's goal as Strachan hits the corner round about the penalty spot. It was away easily, though. Now Arthur Albiston brought in for his attacking skills. Not a good ball this time, though, to his Manchester United colleague. And Uruguay counter-attack through Ramos, but he's got no support at the moment. Holds it up well, though, and gets the cross in, and Francescoli was coming in. And although there were only 2 Uruguayans up there in attack, they managed to create an opening. But again, we saw that there can be danger to Scotland from these quick breaks. And Ramos did well for his country then. It's the same Senor Ramos who will take the corner. Now Uruguay do throw 4 men forward, and a clear header as well coming in from Wilmer Cabrera. He perhaps should have been able to keep it down a little better.
I'll tell you what, John, I think we could do without the excitement at the Scottish end. I'd much prefer to see the other end. But it lets us see the threat of these Uruguayans.
Alveston just knocking the ball out of play, and a few hoots going up around the ground. Still no goals here. And this is the last of the games played in Neza. And wrestled to the ground there by McStay was Cabrera. Barrios takes it quickly. Cabrera challenged by Nicol, and a good intervention here by McStay, who's been brought into the side in place of Graham Souness. Strachan, nice little back header. Goff joins the attack. Now Neri and Roy Aitken. It's cut out, but only as far as Strachan. Even against these 10 men, Scotland not finding it easy to work the openings. Cabrera ceremoniously bundled over by Goff, and that's the second time that Goff has conceded a free kick. I think the Uruguayans impeaching the French referee to take sterner action against the Dundee United fullback. There is actually a feeling, Billy, isn't there, that Richard Goff might not be playing in his best position here.
Well, I've always preferred him in as a centre-back. Looks very good potential there, John, but he's a very good player.
Francescoli and Ramos in the end have to play the ball back to Santin. Diogo. Now Ramos once more. Who looks a dangerously exciting player, Venancio Ramos. And there'll be a free kick here to Uruguay. Obstruction. Jim Leighton looked anxiously on. And we've seen in the last couple of days how powerfully some of these fellas can shoot. The second goal by Brazil yesterday down in Guadalajara was quite the most spectacular we've seen so far. And it was from this sort of distance. There are 4 Uruguayans there sorting things out. The captain, Barrios, looks as though he's going to tee somebody up. Back leaves it for Francescoli, who hoofs it straight into the crowd. Well, the sensational start to this game was, of course, the first minute sending off of Jose Batista. And Ian St John back in London, I think we can have a closer look at that.
Well, that's right, John. The ball was played to Gordon Strachan, and Batista came flying in behind him. I mean, he had no chance of getting the ball. It was a really vicious tackle.
Thanks very much, Ian. Well, yes, Strachan certainly poleaxed in that first minute. I think the only surprise here was that it was a red card and not a yellow card produced so early in the game. However, Batista is off, and that ought to be to Scotland's advantage. Not a good ball, straight to the foot of Steve Nicol, who wants to play it quickly out to that far side. Instead of giving chase, but forlornly. So far, Billy, Uruguay seem to be handling the situation quite well.
They're handling it differently from they did against Denmark, John. They're leaving one player up front, They're closing up midfield and they're looking very, very compact at the back.
All that can change with a goal. Let's see if Arthur Alveston can conjure something up. Looking on that far side for Graham Sharp, who's so adept in the air, of course, and a good, firm, positive header from Sharp. But it didn't find another blue shirt. Santin. Crossed flanks for the moment. Meanwhile, in the other game in this group, we understand from Querétaro that there is no score between Denmark and West Germany. So we await the first goal in both matches in the group. And the prize for the winners here today is a game against Argentina in Puebla. Scotland against Argentina would be some occasion, and as you can imagine down in South America, they reckon that Uruguay against Argentina would be a mighty confrontation. This looks promising with McStay. Struck it inside the area. He scored from that sort of position against West Germany. This time good defending means Scotland have a corner. And little Strachan, who's got 4 goals for his country, strolls over to take the corner kick. Down the list of Scottish goal scorers, it's not too impressive. Charlie Nicholas, who's the substitute today, has 5. Archibald and Strachan 4 apiece. Sturrock and McStay 3 apiece. That's looped over and a slip by Francescoli. But he regained his feet. And everybody bar Jim Leighton is in Uruguay's half. Let's see what Strachan can do here. Good ball inside the area as well. Aitken drives it across. Oh, it's a marvellous save from Nicol. The Liverpool man side-footed it when perhaps he might have been better advised to blast it, but it's very easy to say that from here. Alves spread himself well.
It was a lovely piece of football, John, but unfortunately it was a very, very good save from the goalkeeper. But a very definite chance missed there.
Funny, we should just be talking about goal scorers, and Steve Nicol yet to register his first for Scotland. What a chance he had then. Gutierrez finding Francescoli, whose control this time isn't as good as it should have been. Now Paul McStay. McStay's been brought in here to do a specific job, and so far I think he's made a very good start to this match. It does seem a little strange to see a Scotland side without Graham Souness, their natural leader. But in all honesty, he's perhaps not played as well in the opening 2 matches as certainly he would have liked. And that's going to be a free kick against Nicol. Oh, dearie me, the Uruguayan goes down as though he's been felled, and Ramos is clutching his head, and I can't honestly see why he's stayed down. The Uruguayan captain, Barrios, complaining bitterly to the French referee. I hope his French is good.
I think the referee is going to have to differentiate between genuine agony and real acts of agony, John. This is going to be one of the problems.
Yes, a few of them have their equity cards. And then a free kick is given to Uruguay. I'll be interested in a free kick count. I think Uruguay have certainly had more than Scotland. Might seem surprising after that first minute sending off of Batista. Uruguay only too happy to slow things down. They even had to have a committee decision then as to who was going to take the free kick. 20 minutes gone here in Neza. Scotland 0, Uruguay 0. And up there was Cabrera, and it just went hopelessly beyond everybody. The first goal could be so important in this match. I'm sure that if Scotland could score it, they'd be jubilant and would really sense an opportunity to go through to the next round. But at the moment, Uruguay are denying them many opportunities. Just that real chance for Steve Nicol a few moments ago. Aitken, who's had a good World Cup. Down the line, Aitken goes for the return and gets there as well, and tries to tussle his way past the Uruguayan defender, and in the opinion of the linesman from Colombia, he was acting illegally there, so it's another free kick to Uruguay. I'm sure it will encourage all Scots when they remember that the last time these two countries met, Scotland won by 2-0 up at Hampden. That was about 3 years ago. Oh, very bad pass this time by McStay. He's given the ball away here. Oh, and a thrilling shot. Really struck well, that one, by Sergio Santin. Leighton handled it efficiently. The Uruguayans have to get back. Only Francescoli is not behind the ball. Strachan. He's got the skill to get past people. This time he uses Nicol wide. No goals here. Scotland 0, Uruguay 0. Scotland perhaps enjoying the better of the possession at the moment, but they're not working any openings. So Ramos for Uruguay, who scored a lot of good late goals for them. He seems to have a knack of doing that. He scored the goals that brought them here, in fact. Once more, it's McStay who concedes the free kick this time. Seems to me, Billy, that the Uruguayans have learnt something from the Denmark game in how to play with 10 men.
I think so, John. They're much more composed. At the moment, they look a much more composed side than Scotland do.
The wall retreats. And Gutierrez threatens. So does Ramos. And that's a bad ball back for Barrios. And Scotland won't mind so long as they keep taking free kicks like that all day. But don't forget, the really important issue here is that Scotland must score at least one goal. They have to win. Strachan has been at his best here when he's been running at defences. He's perhaps been Scotland's outstanding player so far in this World Cup. Nicol gets up well, but there's no one to receive his header inside.
I think it's significant, John, that heavy challenge right away was on Gordon Strachan. I agree with you. I think he's had a first-class World Cup so far.
Well, I know the Scots would dearly like to emulate England's performance in getting through to the last 16 now. Let's charge them up a bit. Northern Ireland sadly winging their way home this weekend. But they did themselves proud all right down in Guadalajara. So the British interest here today, though, very much with Scotland. Nice skill by Strachan, who's bundled over not once, but twice by Barrios. Who I thought he was offering his number then to the referee for taking. The referee didn't take up the option. I think Strachan can expect to bite quite a lot of Mexican grass today.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that at all, John.
Free kick. Nicely done to Albiston. Obviously a Manchester United ploy, that one. And the little header was from Paul Sturrock. Uruguay scrambled it behind the line. And the Scottish flags always wave whenever Scotland have a position from which they might score. And they're waving around the stadium here at the moment. It's been a marvellous Scottish presence, but there was a good Uruguayan presence in the penalty area then. Scotland won't get that one. Diogo, big, forceful, gets it away as far as Ramos. Handball by Albiston, by Ramos in fact. Nickel now. As Steve Nicol has worked in the games so far, I think that one thing Scotland have suffered from has been lack of really good crosses from the flanks. I don't see him able to do that, and Graham Sharp